Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Southern Charm's Venita Aspen is crushing on a Chicago PD star, and we know who. Venita Aspen exists well outside the realm of one Chicago. She's risen to fame as a cast member on the reality series Southern Comfort, but she's a huge fan of the procedural franchise. Well, at least, a huge fan of one of the stars. Aspen recently went on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and revealed she has a crush on one of Chicago PD's main actors. "There is a man that is on NBC that I have my eye on," Aspen asserted. "He's a Chicago PD star." This obviously drew the interest of the crowd, and the reality provided some additional information. "I just found him a couple of weeks ago, and I think he's handsome," she added. "I slid in his DMs and I said, 'It's so funny we work for the same network, but we never ran into each other.'" Evidently, Aspen's approach worked. She told the Watch What Happens Live audience that she got a response and an Instagram follow from the Chicago PD actor in question. Naturally, fans of both her and the procedural drama started playing detective in an attempt to determine who she was talking about. There are multiple candidates who qualify, including Benjamin Levy Aguilar, Jason Begg, Patrick John Pfluger, and Leroyce Hawkins. Aspen provided enough information, however, that we were able to do some research and see which PD star she was following on Instagram. Sure enough, there was only one result: Hawkins. Hawkins has, fittingly, commented on how often women slide into his DMs, given his notable role on television. "A lot of honeys bless my Instagram DMs, just wanting to know what's up," he told Chicago Mag in 2015. "There's always that question of do they want to date you because you're on TV, but the way I see it, if a woman wants to date me, let's do it." The actor does appear to be single at the moment, and Aspen recently got out of a relationship with her Southern Charm co-star, Jarrett "JT" Thomas. A relationship she addressed after admitting to her PD crush. Evidently, Thomas was dating another woman at the same time, and when she found out, Aspen pulled the plug. "I think it would have been nice to just have him be like, 'Hey, by the way, I'm dating someone else, and I've decided to go with her versus you,'" she explained. "I would not have cared. I'm like, 'Oh my God, I appreciate you so much for saying something, being kind about it.' But he didn't do that." Well, we're curious to see where this potential Chicago PD and Southern Charm connection goes from here. Venita Aspen had always been known for her impeccable taste. Whether it was fashion, friendships, or even the way she handled drama in Charleston's social scene, she carried herself with an effortless grace that made her stand out. But lately, her thoughts have been straying far from the palmetto-lined streets of her southern hometown. She was crushing hard, and not just on anyone. This wasn't some anonymous mystery man. No, Venita Aspen had fallen for a bona fide Chicago PD star. And yes, we know exactly who it is. Tracy Spiridakos? No. Jason Begg? Please. It was Leroyce Hawkins. The moment it hit her, it was undeniable. Venita, the queen of poised and polished, found herself gushing like a teenager every time she so much as scrolled past a clip of him in action, whether he was laying down the law as Officer Kevin Atwater, delivering those hard-hitting moments of justice, or simply flashing that devastating smile in an interview. He had her hooked, and let's be real, who wouldn't fall for that mix of strength, charm, and deep-voiced charisma? It started innocently enough. She had been watching Chicago PD on a slow evening, wine glass in hand, ready to unwind. She had heard about Leroyce before. He had that quiet but commanding presence on the show, someone who made you stop and watch. But that night it was different. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, a presence that felt both protective and genuine. Maybe it was the way his character fought for justice, standing up for what was right even when the odds were stacked against him. Or maybe it was simply that smile, warm, real, the kind of thing that could melt even the most skeptical heart. Whatever it was, she was done for. By the time she realized what was happening, she was already deep in a Leroyce Hawkins Instagram spiral. First, it was just a few likes. Then it was watching his spoken word performances, because of course the man is talented beyond just acting. Then, before she knew it, she was replaying clips of him on talk shows, listening to his deep, smooth voice talk about life, career, and oh, Lord, relationships. "Venita, get a grip," she muttered to herself. But there was no stopping it now. The Charleston beauty had dated before, sure, but something about this was different. Maybe it was because Leroyce wasn't just a handsome face. He had depth, intelligence, and that rare quality of making everything he said feel intentional. That was rare. And she wasn't the type to ignore rare. Her Southern Charm co-stars started catching on when she casually slipped his name into conversations. Madison LaCroix raised an eyebrow over brunch. "You're talking about him a lot, Venita." Venita tried to play it cool, waving it off with a dismissive sip of her mimosa. "He's just talented." "You're blushing," Olivia Flowers pointed out. "I am not," Venita insisted, though her smile was giving her away. Next thing she knew, she was testing out the idea on Instagram. A strategic story here, a casual mention there. Would he notice? Would he see? Did he already know? The thought sent a thrill down her spine. Then came the moment of truth. She left a comment. Simple, but effective. The talent, the presence. Under one of his latest posts. Within an hour, he liked it. Was that a sign? It felt like a sign. "Girl, if this man ends up in Charleston, I'm going to need front row seats." Leva Bonaparte texted her later that night, having clearly been watching the social media breadcrumbs unfold. Would he make the first move? Would she? It was new, exciting, and completely out of her usual social scene, but that was what made it thrilling. A Southern belle meets a Chicago king, now that had all the makings of a must-watch romance. For now, she played it cool. But if Leroyce Hawkins was reading this, well, let's just say Venita Aspen is definitely on his wavelength, and she's not afraid to let the world know. Venita Aspen had always considered herself a woman of taste. From the finest fabrics to the most exclusive Charleston soras, she was the epitome of Southern elegance. But lately, her heart had taken a detour, straight to the gritty streets of Chicago, not for the deep dish pizza or the winds whipping off Lake Michigan, but for a certain brooding, badge-wearing, crime-fighting man who had captured her attention like no other. Yes, Venita Aspen had a crush. And not just on any random Chicago cop. She had fallen for none other than Jesse Lee Soffer, the former fan-favorite detective, Jay Halstead, from Chicago PD. It had started innocently enough. Venita had been casually watching Chicago PD on a slow afternoon, sipping a glass of wine, ready to immerse herself in some procedural drama. But the moment Jesse appeared on screen with that chiseled jawline, piercing green eyes, and the kind of presence that made a woman lean forward in her seat, Venita was done for. Her group chat with her Southern Charm girlfriends quickly turned into a full-blown Jesse Lee Soffer appreciation thread. Venita. "Ladies, I have an announcement." Madison LaCroix. "Oh God, what now? More drama in Charleston." Olivia Flowers. "Are you finally admitting you have a thing for Craig?" Venita. "Absolutely not. This is serious. I am in love. With a man from Chicago PD."